In this video, I'm going to be talking about the arms, so the bicep and the tricep. Not only the two heads of the bicep and the three heads of the tricep, where they insert, how you can best activate those muscles by their anatomy, but also the best ways to perform the exercises that are best for those muscles based on the way that they are naturally placed on the body. But before we get to it, if you want to know what the best exercises are for your muscles, then while the like button is doing a barbell back squat, sweep his legs out from under him and walk away. The bicep is made up of two muscles, hence the name bi, meaning two. It's made up of a long head and a short head, and the bicep is responsible for flexing and extension plus supination. Now the tricep is made up of three muscles, hence the name tri, meaning three. So the tricep brachii is comprised of the long head, the medial head, and the lateral head, and the tricep is responsible for extension. So the bicep has two heads, and those heads are responsible for flexion, bringing your arm towards yourself, as well as extension. And then the tricep is primarily responsible for extension, and so the tricep is really going to be worked when you're pushing away from yourself. So rope pull downs, you're pulling down, you're pulling your hands away from yourself. For skull crushers, this is the relaxed position, and then pushing your arms away from yourself. Kickbacks, pulling your hand away from yourself. And then it's pretty much the opposite for the bicep. The bicep is going to be working most on the concentric when you bring your hand to yourself, because the responsibility for the bicep is basically for flexion. So it's to make that muscle tighter and shorter in length, and in doing that, that's flexing the muscle. And in order to flex the muscle, you have to bring your arm up. To best hit the bicep is just a bunch of variation of curls, essentially. So you got the supinated curl, which I recommend over the regular curl, because when you supinate, your bicep automatically gets more activated. So if you can add that into the movement, it can be beneficial. However, it doesn't actually matter whichever one you prefer. And then there's two other styles of exercises that you want to hit, which are going to be like preacher curls or concentration curls, where it brings your bicep in front of your shoulder and in front of you. That will hit another part of your bicep. The opposite of that is going to be where your elbows are behind you, for example, on an incline curl, where you're on that incline bench and your arms hang behind you. That's going to focus on the shorter head of the bicep rather than the long head. And then when you do preacher curls or concentration curls, or curls where your arms in front of you, that's going to concentrate more on the shorter head and on the peak of the bicep. It's similar for the tricep. So for the bicep, where the position of the elbow was important, it's the same for the tricep. So for the tricep, to activate the individual heads, it's going to be an overhead exercise, an in front of you exercise, and a behind you exercise. So for an overhead one, it would be skull crushers, cable pull. There's a bunch of other ones, but these are the ones I can think of right off the top of my head. And so for the ones in front of you, kind of at just like your sides, is going to be rope pull down, machine push down, dips, close bench press. And the ones for behind you are mostly just going to be kickbacks and dips, where your hands are behind you on the bench or chair or whatever you're doing them on. When training arms, one of the most important things is that you focus on mind-muscle connection. So you're not just throwing the weight, because if you do that, you're not going to be focusing on the flex at the peak of the contraction. And if you're not doing that, you're not getting the most out of the movement. On each rep, you want to focus on the top of the motion and controlling it down. There's a place for flaring. There's a place for flailing around and assisting on reps, but that's when you're doing failure work. So when you're pushing your body and you're trying to squeeze out as many reps as possible, that's when you do it. However, if you're not doing an adequate amount of volume with proper form, then the flailing and assistant work, deterioration of form should not happen. So for example, if my goal is to hit a set of 10 reps and I've only gotten to rep 6 and I'm already trying to change my form up to get it up, then I need to lower the weight and I need to work my way up. But if I'm doing that set and I get to rep 10, it's really hard and I want to force it and I want to do some partial reps or some force reps, then that is different. And as long as you're not doing something insane and you're not going to injure yourself, those extra forced reps can lead to more hypertrophy and can bring the progress along a little bit faster, because the name of the game is to work harder and train harder than last time. If you like this video, then subscribe and comment your favorite exercise. I'll see you in the next one. Today I thought forever.